Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Pathway Podcast presented by the Behind the Badge Project. Excuse me. I'm your host, Bobby Zukowski, and today I want to do something, well, I guess a little different. I'm not talking about policies or stats, or I want to talk about what we're supposed to do. I just want to talk about what happens inside of us because I think there's something that happens to a whole lot of people who enter the first responder profession. And honestly, I think it happens to people obviously outside of this profession as well. This episode is kind of like a piggyback from episode 3, the silent shift, but I just want to dig deeper into this because this is so important for all of us. I truly believe this. When you first start your career, you probably don't think you're ever going to have any real problems. You don't think you're going to struggle with anxiety. You're going to think you're going to struggle with depression. You don't think you're going to drink too much or think you're going to develop some type of addiction, alcohol, drugs, or whatever, gambling, sex. You don't think you're going to have trouble sleeping, or you're going to become emotionally numb. Maybe you don't think you're going to wake up one day and realize that you're not the same person that you were when you first started. Because when you first put that uniform on, you just see good. You see the purpose. You see the brotherhood. You see the sisterhood. My old man was a cop for years, and I saw all of this, and it got me hooked. You see the opportunity to help people, the excitement, the adrenaline. You see yourself just making a difference, and that shit's real, man. That's fucking real. But nobody prepares you for the other side. Nobody really prepares you for what happens when you see things that you can never unsee. Nobody really prepares you for the call that follows you home, or calls that follow you home. Nobody prepares you for that child you can't unsee, the accident you can't unsee, the suicide you can't unsee, or the death notification that you have to make, the horrible domestic violence call that you're on, the victim who reminds you of somebody that you love, or the coworker who doesn't make it home. Critical incidents, the betrayal, investigations, the lawsuits, the administrative bullshit problems, all the internal nonsense. I don't see the mistakes, the things that you wish you could forget and correct. And somewhere along the way, we learn how to compartmentalize in the most terrible way. We put everything into this shitty box, and we close that box, and we put that box on a shelf. And we tell ourselves, we'll deal with that box later. Except later never comes. We just put another experience in that box. And another. And another. Until eventually, that box gets extremely heavy, and we don't even realize how heavy it has become. When you're young in this profession, you hear things like, shake it off, you'll be fine, shut the fuck up, that's part of the job, don't take it home, go to the next call, move on. And I understand why those things were said. I truly do. Because the job requires you to function, right? The radio goes off, you have to do the job. When somebody is bleeding, you can't just sit there and process your emotions like, oh my God, no, you gotta act. For the job. When someone's life is in danger, you have to stay focused. You have to be locked in. That's part of being a first responder. We're trained to function in chaos. We're trained to control our emotions. We're trained to make decisions when everybody else is in sheer panic mode. But here's the problem. We're really good at turning it on. Nobody taught us how to turn it off. Nobody taught us what to do with all these emotions afterward. Nobody taught us that being strong doesn't mean pretending that something didn't affect you. Nobody taught us that talking about something doesn't make you weak. Nobody taught us about asking for help isn't failure. And nobody taught us that mental health is something that you have to maintain. Just like your physical health, for most of us, at least. We learn how to clean our equipment. We learn how to maintain our vehicles. Some of these are slabs, but we learn defensive tactics. We learn firearms. We learn first aid and report writing. We just learn the law. We learn how much time that we didn't spend maintaining ourselves, though. How much time do we spend actually learning what trauma actually does to the brain? How much time did we spend learning the warning signs of depression? How much time do we spend talking about addiction? Or learning how to recognize when your partner wasn't okay? Now, how much time do we spend recognizing that we're not okay? That's the conversation I wish we had earlier for all of us. Because here's what happens. You have a bad call, then you go home, you tell yourself you're fine, go to work the next day, and you have another bad call. I put that one in this shitty box, then another, and another, and another, put it in the box, and eventually you stop thinking about individual incidents. They all just become part of the job. You become fucking numb. Tell me I'm lying. You don't even realize it. That's the scary part. You start seeing things that used to bother you, and they don't bother you anymore. You start hearing stories that used to make your stomach turn, and now you just shrug it off like, eh. Start going to funerals. You start seeing families just fucking destroyed. You start seeing people at their absolute worst. And you learn how to stand there and keep that straight face. Because that's what you're trained to do. But what happens when you go home? What happens when the uniform comes off? When the badge comes off? What happens when nobody needs you to be the strong one anymore? That's when some of us start to discover that we don't know what to even do with ourselves. And this isn't just first responder problems. Think about it. Maybe you're a teacher, a nurse, a doctor. Maybe you're a construction worker like me now. Maybe you're a parent, or you're a business owner, or you're taking care of your elderly parent. Maybe you're going through divorce, or you're grieving. You lost somebody. Maybe you're struggling financially, dealing with stuff that nobody even knows about. You become really good at functioning while you're fucking falling apart. Read that again in your mind. You become really good at functioning while you're falling apart. You can go to work. You can smile. Answer that phone. Take care of your kids. You can make that dinner. You can go to the gym. You can post pictures on social media. Look at me, my family. And nobody knows that you're struggling. Because you become really good at hiding it. And then something changes. That casual drink, now you're drinking more. Maybe you start gambling, or you start taking something to make you sleep. You take something to wake you up. Maybe you start chasing a feeling. You start isolating yourself. Maybe you stop calling your friends. You stop answering your family. Maybe you become angry all the time, and little things start setting you off. Or now you can't sleep, or maybe you sleep all day. I mean, you're physically present, but mentally you're somewhere else. You're just fucking checked out. That's when people around you might start saying, what's wrong with you? Maybe the better question is, what happened to you? Because there's a difference. I wish somebody would sat me down early in my career and said, listen, Bobby, you're going to see things that are going to change you. You're going to experience things that you were not prepared for. Some calls are going to stay with you. You might not realize it immediately. And someday you may need help processing some of these things. I wish someone would have told me you don't have to wait until you're broken to ask for help. Imagine if that was part of the academy. Imagine if every recruit heard that. And not as weakness, not as punishment. Not as here's the guy who's going to talk to you because you're having problems, but as a normal part of the profession. Just like physical fitness, just like firearms training, just like defensive tactics, mental health training, emotional weakness, communication, recognizing the trauma, recognizing the addiction, recognizing burnout, recognizing when your partner isn't okay. Better yet, when recognizing you're not okay. What if that was normal? Because I don't think we should wait until someone reaches that bottom. I don't think we should wait until the freaking marriage falls apart. I don't think we should wait until somebody is now drinking every night, or wait until somebody develops an addiction. I mean, I don't think we have to wait until somebody has a mental health crisis, a breakdown. I don't think we should wait until somebody says, I can't do this anymore. That's damn near too late. The conversation needs to start much earlier. It needs to start in the academies. It needs to start during like an orientation, during like FTO training. It needs to continue throughout your career. A refresher. It needs to be reinforced by leadership. Because if we tell people truly we care about you, then we have to actually show them that we actually care about them, not just the community. And here's something else that I want to say: if you're a supervisor listening to this, your people don't need you to have all the answers. They need you to actually notice. Notice when the guy who's normally laughing isn't quite laughing anymore, or the woman who's always talking suddenly is now quiet. Notice when somebody stops going to lunch with the squad. Notice when somebody starts drinking a little too much, or when somebody suddenly is now just completely angry all the time. Notice when somebody's performance is changing constantly. Notice when somebody stops taking care of themselves. And don't immediately ask, what's wrong with you? Ask, like, truly, hey, are you okay? And then actually listen to the answers. Not on your fucking phone, listen. Like, no, look at them. If you're a first responder listening to this, please hear me. You are not your worst call. You're not your worst day. You're not your your mistakes. You're not things that you've seen. And you're definitely not weak because something affected you. You're a human being. You're not a robot. That's it. You're a freaking human. Underneath the uniform, you are a human being. Underneath the badge, you are a human being. Underneath your turnout gear, you're a human being. Underneath the helmet, you're a human being. You're a human being who has emotions. A human being who hurts, who struggles. A human being who just needs help. And there is nothing wrong with that. One of the biggest lies we can tell ourselves is, I can handle it. Maybe you can. Maybe you can handle it today. But what about tomorrow? What about 5 years from now? What about 20 years from now? Because trauma doesn't always show up immediately. It sits quietly, or it waits. Sometimes you think you've moved on from it, but really, you're just burying it. And you bury things in a way that, trying to find your way back to a surface. Sometimes through anger, sometimes through addiction, sometimes through depression, through anxiety, sometimes through relationships or isolation, sometimes through complete emotional numbness. And sometimes you don't even recognize yourself anymore. That's why I believe we need to stop glorifying the idea that being tough means being silent. That's bullshit. It's old. Because silence isn't always strength. Sometimes silence is the pain that hasn't found a voice yet. Sometimes that's what I want the positive pathway to be, a voice, a place where we can have uncomfortable conversations that now we're comfortable with, a place where first responders can say, yeah, me too. A place where a wife can listen and say, that's what I've been trying to tell my husband. A place where a husband can listen and say, maybe I need to talk to somebody. A place where a parent can say, maybe my kid isn't just acting out. A place where somebody struggling with addiction can hear, dude, you're not alone. Maybe, just maybe, somebody hears one sentence that changes the whole direction of their life. That's why I'm doing this. And I want to talk to the people who are doing well, because you're important to this conversation too. If you're balanced right now, if you're truly happy, if your marriage is good, if your career is going well, if you're sleeping well, if you're just enjoying life, don't just enjoy it, share it. Reach back, look around. Who's missing? Who's becoming quiet? Who's isolating? Who's not themselves? Call them. Text them. Invite them over. Sit down with them. You don't need to be a therapist. You don't need to have the perfect words. Sometimes all somebody needs to know is that someone noticed. And that's the kind of culture I want to help create. Not a culture where asking for help gets you labeled. Not a culture where admitting you're struggling gets you judged. Come on. Fuck all that. Not a culture where we tell someone to shake it off. I want a culture where saying I'm not okay is met with, okay, let's figure this out together. That's it. Shit, imagine that. Imagine if that was the response. No judgment, no embarrassment, no shame. Just, okay, let's figure this out together. All right? We got this. So if you're listening to this today and if you've been carrying something, maybe it's from your career, maybe it's from your childhood, or from a relationship, or from losing somebody. Maybe it's from addiction. It's something that you've never told anybody. I want you to know something. You don't have to carry it forever. It's killing you. You don't have to figure it out alone. You don't have to wait until you're just completely fucking broken. Make the call. Have the conversation. Talk to somebody. Take that first huge step. Because sometimes the hardest call you're ever going to make is that call asking for help. But it also might be the most important call you ever make. That's why I call this episode the call nobody wants to make. Because asking for help can be terrifying. We worry about what people are going to think. I hate that. We worry about our careers, our families. We worry about being judged. You worry about just being seen like differently. But what if we change the question instead of asking, what will people think if I ask for help? I don't know, ask yourself, what could happen if I don't? That's a completely different question. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. I mean, for me, it all started back in 2018 when my gambling addiction got out of control. You know, what started out as recreational, no big deal, turned into making this into an all-day affair. I used to bet on sports, and honestly, I was really good at it. But that's where the problem really started because I was good at it. But that's where the shitty part comes in. I would take those winnings and then I would go to the slot machine side of it and literally gamble it all away. Now, I'll give you an example. Football season, I did a 16 parlay for $50. I won the parlay. I won $6,500. Now, normally, a human being would take that, probably the majority of it, and put it away, put it back to their bank account, or do whatever with it. And so many fucking times I wanted to do that, and I just couldn't do it. So what did I do? Went to the slot machine side of it and ran that bitch all the way until zero. Not exaggerating. I probably did that anywhere between 15 to 20 times. So I found myself, something that I was good at because I studied the numbers, but I couldn't end it there because I thought I could turn $6,500 into 15,000. Oh wait, better yet, 15,000 into 30, and so on and so forth. And there were times when that 6,500 did turn into 10,000, but I couldn't stop there and slowly dwindling away until telling myself, stop. Give your wife your goddamn phone. So it was like 2018. I'm getting ready to start my first day of field training officer classes. My wife calls me and questions why our bank account is now in the red. Holy fuck. That's what started the complete destruction. Before that, during that time frame, for a few good months, I spent endless nights on my couch crying and trying to figure out a way to stop this without anyone knowing. And of course, it didn't work out that way. And I knew I needed help. The severity of this is that support system. My wife was my leader, and then I met this guy CP in Philadelphia who helped me through the darkest times. I never gambled again. I walked through a casino or sit with my wife while she's playing little penny slots, and I just didn't have a single feeling anymore because I just didn't care. But I got the help. I had the support system. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here talking to you today. I can't change my past. I can't go back and rewrite certain chapters, but I can take those chapters and use them, hopefully, to help somebody else. Maybe that's what redemption really is. Not pretending the past didn't happen. No, motherfucker, it happened. Not erasing your mistakes, but taking what you learned and using it to help somebody else avoid the same road. That road sucks. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what the Behind the Badge project is trying to do. That's what the Positive Pathway podcast is trying to do. Trying to give people the playbook I wish somebody had given me. The playbook that says, take care of yourself. Talk to somebody. Don't isolate. Don't ignore the warning signs. Don't let the job become your entire identity. Take care of your relationships. Take care of your family. And when you need help, please ask for it. So to the rookie who is listening, or the recruit, don't wait 20 years to have the conversation. To the veteran, it's not too late. To the supervisor, start the conversation with your people. To the spouse, keep asking questions. Or to the friend, make the phone call. And to the person sitting there right now thinking, this isn't me, I'm fine. Maybe you are. I hope you are. But take a minute and ask yourself an honest question. Am I really okay? Not the answer you give everybody else. The real answer. Because self-evaluation isn't weakness. It's just awareness. And awareness can save you. I started this project because I believe that there are people out there who are struggling silently. And I believe we can do better. We can talk earlier. We can listen better. We can support each other. We can stop pretending that strength means struggling. And we can remind people that one bad chapter doesn't become their entire story. If you're struggling, there's still a next chapter. If you're struggling mentally with addiction, there's still a next chapter. If you made mistakes, there's still a next chapter. And if you think you've gone too far, I want you to hear me clearly, okay? You haven't. Take the first step. Make the phone call. Talk to somebody. You do not have to walk this road alone. And to everyone who's been supporting this podcast and this project, thank you, seriously. 1,000 followers since March 13th. Every comment, every share, every message, every person who says, I needed to hear that. That's why we're doing this. We're building a community. We're creating conversations. We're breaking down the silence. And we're reminding people that behind every uniform, behind every title, behind every job, behind every tough exterior, there is a human being. And that human being matters. You matter. Your family matters. Your mental health matters. Your future, it matters. And your story is far from over. So before I let you go, I want you to do something for me. Look at that person next to you, or think about somebody who hasn't been themselves lately. And don't assume they're okay. Reach out, ask the question, start the conversation, because you never know. You might be the person they needed to hear from that day. And if you're the person who needs the call, make it. Do not be embarrassed. Do not be ashamed. Do not wait. Because asking for help isn't the end of your story. Sometimes it's the beginning of a completely different one. This has been another episode of the Positive Pathway Podcast presented by Behind the Badge Project. I'm Bobby Zukowski. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for giving me your ears. Most importantly, thank you for giving me this conversation a chance. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Take care of your brothers. Take care of your sisters. And if you're doing well, reach back for somebody who just may not be. Because that's how we change things. That's how we end this silence. That's how we build a better culture. And that's how we remind people that you are not alone. Thank you. Until next time, let's keep bridging that gap one day at a time.